Let's kick a little something for them cars that be bumped.
It isn't nothing like that. It isn't nothing like that good soul music. Now use it and let Jay prove it. Just lose it. With everything you do, just know she got your back, yo. And she'll even make you laugh show after show. She got the vibes that'll make you ride top down. And if you got a couple pounds, she'll be around. Justified madness.
All you had to offer was friendship. Like, who would still be around? Real situations expose fake people, so sometimes it takes getting down on life to find who's really down. You see, people pretend well when their souls are for sale. And sometimes it's the ones you love the most that mostly want to see you fail. That's real. Just because they riding with you doesn't mean they riding for you. That's facts. You see, loyalty shouldn't depend on your presence. It's more about how they act behind your back. Who can you trust? I mean, some of us are fighting for people that wouldn't throw a punch for us, and yet these are the ones we call friends. You know, the ones that care so much about your struggle, but yet so silent when you win. The ones that bring gossip to you about you, but your name, they never defend. Understand, everybody in your boat might not be rowing, but drilling holes. And as time goes and that jealousy grows, pay attention, because that's when true motives get exposed. Everybody in your circle might not be in your corner. Support doesn't always come from familiar faces. So don't be surprised if God places strangers in your life to take you to higher places. Don't be surprised if your growth makes your circle smaller. But you got two choices. Let it break you or let it make you. Make your dream even larger. Make your vision see farther. There's more to your path than where you're currently at. And I think life will teach you this. Sometimes the best way to add to your life is not to add to it, but to subtract. Understand, it's not about the size of your circle. It's about the loyalty that's in it. You see, nothing can stop a squad that's dedicated to fighting for the same mission, focused on the same vision. Does your circle got that type of commitment? Are they happy for you when you win it? Or is it the more you do better, the more their love gets distant? The more their support goes missing? Listen, real friends don't hate on each other. What they do is they push each other to go get it. In your life, do you got those type of friendships? Because mindsets are very contagious. And I promise you this, whoever you consistently surround your life around will surely persuade it. Wake up. Everybody's prayers for you ain't to make it. So do they really got love for you? Or do they just fake it? Do they really got love for you? Or do they just love to use you? To some, you're just an opportunity. Yeah, that's how these fake friends will do you. They present what you want just to take what they need. And when they can no longer benefit from your life, well, that's when their loyalty leaves. So I'm going to ask you this question again. If all you had to offer was friendship, who would you still be able to call your friend? Tag them to this video. Let them know you appreciate them. It's rehab time. Let's get it.
What's up? What's happening? It's your girl, J1 Yvette. It's Saturday, June 10th, 2023, and welcome to the Soundoff Spoken Word Saturday edition of Justified Madness. Tonight, I felt like getting some stuff off my chest, plus bringing some more spoken word poetry. So I'm giving you a two-fer tonight. Some spoken word poetry and sound-offs. So not just from myself, but I got some sound-offs from my twamly and from my Mad Hatters who checked in.
All right, folks, some breaking news. The federal government has indicted Donald Trump in their classified inquiry. ABC News is saying that two sources have confirmed that Donald Trump has been indicted. In fact, Trump has tweeted on Truth Social that his attorneys have been informed that he is being indicted and he is to appear in a Miami courthouse on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Special counsel, of course, Jack Smith has been investigating the classified documents documents issue. And again, these were the documents that they say were being mishandled by Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And now CNN is reporting, Associated Press is reporting, numerous folks are reporting that indeed Donald Trump has been indicted on 7 counts in the classified documents probe.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network and co-host of Legal AF with Michael Popak. This is a breaking news and historic news that I am honored to deliver with my co-host Michael Popak to all of those who watch the Midas Touch Network. Donald Trump has been criminally indicted in connection with his theft of thousands of government records and his obstruction of justice. Yes, you heard me correctly. Special counsel Jack Smith has indicted Donald Trump on 7 counts that we will be discussing in just a moment in connection with Donald Trump's theft of thousands of government records, his concealment and mutilation of those records, his obstruction of justice, his witness tampering. We first got word that the charges may have been brought earlier in the day on Thursday when Donald Trump posted on his social media platform that his lawyers had received word of the indictments and that he would be required to show up at the federal courthouse in Miami in the Southern District of Florida on Tuesday for his arraignment. Of course, we all have to be very careful and circumspect when reporting on Donald Trump's social media posts because Donald Trump lies about everything. But thereafter, we learned from our own sources and from the reporting by many other large media networks that indeed special counsel Jack Smith has criminally indicted Donald Trump. The indictments from a grand jury in the Southern District of Florida. I'm honored to turn it over to my co-host, Michael Popak, to discuss the charges and this truly historic breaking news.
Yeah, Ben, same here. And I'm honored to be a part of this profession. I know that Alina Habba spent a little bit of airtime today saying she was embarrassed to be a lawyer. I'd be embarrassed to be a lawyer if I was Alina Habba too. But you and I are proud members of a very proud profession. And it's days like this that not only am I glad I'm on the Midas Touch Network and you and I founded Legal AF together, but that I'm able to say with complete authenticity and complete credibility that our system works, that the guardrails of democracy, the conscience of democracy that is our judiciary system is working. And there's a reason why Merrick Garland stepped aside and under a lot of, took a lot of heat for doing it. A lot of people that questioned some of his anatomical parts when he decided that he needed, based on the statute, to appoint an independent counsel. But this is the very reason why you do it. Because at the moment there would be an indictment decision and ultimately an indictment, which happened today, mark it down, red letter on your calendar, historic event today. Where were you when you heard that Donald Trump was indicted? You might have been on the Midas Touch Network watching the Brothers podcast with 30,000 other people. But this is going exactly the way our founding fathers thought it would go and future historians thought it would go. The Biden administration didn't indict Donald Trump today. A grand jury led by a completely independent special counsel, independent from our attorney general, did that. And we learned today, and it's funny, we were getting these news droppings, I called them strategic leaking, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which indicated to all of us in the business and at the intersection of law and politics that there was a Mar-a-Lago indictment just around the corner. In fact, this one we got even better. We were off by a couple of weeks in New York when he was indicted as to timing. This one we got within 24 hours of when we thought it was going to happen. And we saw a very well-run prosecution and investigation team. Only 7 months, I'm holding up my hands, only 7 months in length. This is only 7 months since Jack Smith never appeared at the podium and he was still abroad at The Hague with a broken leg after a bicycle accident, to indictment. That is of a complicated case. one of several grand juries that will likely return an indictment. But we just learned, of course, 2 weeks ago, Evan Corcoran not only testified, but turned over audio recordings. He turned over 50 pages of his personal notes as an attorney for Donald Trump. Highly unusual. We got that. Mark Meadows just yesterday testifying against Donald Trump, the maintenance worker at Mar-a-Lago. We've learned all of these things for what had been an airtight, watertight investigation by Jack Smith. So tight that people were questioning us on Legal AF. What is he doing? We never see him. Where is he? This is what he was doing. And the fact that he started leaking to put pressure on both Donald Trump and those around him, signaling an indictment was around the corner, was a good thing. We just learned 48 hours ago, and we follow this really closely, so you know how under wraps it was, that there was a second grand jury in Miami. The reason we never talked about it on Legal AF, Ben and me, is because we didn't know about it. And because they were, doing it under it's supposed to be secret, and they were doing a good job down in Miami with a little bit of a misdirection play. We all thought everything was going on in DC, but the looks like the heart of the matter, the really, roll up your shirt sleeves, let's get the job done, was being done by Jack Smith and his prosecutors in Miami, wrapping up a couple of more witnesses this week with Mark Meadows. And suddenly I wasn't surprised by indictment. I was surprised by location. Miami, grand jury, indictment.
And John, as to be expected, we wondered if this would happen, and it has played out. The former president confirming himself that he and his attorneys have been informed. He writes that I have been indicted.
David, a very lengthy post from Donald Trump on his social media platform, Truth Social. It's extremely long. He goes on to say he never thought this was possible, calls it a dark day. But David, I can tell you from my sources that have been around the former president for much of the last week, they very much thought this was possible. They have been huddled in Bedminster, New Jersey, where the former president spends his summers, waiting for this today. They have been anxious. They were watching news coverage yesterday of Trump's former spokesperson, Taylor Budowich, going before that grand jury down in southern Florida. And David, that's a bit of a mystery to the Trump team. They've been watching friends, allies, and now enemies of the former president go before a grand jury in Washington, D.C. that's been hearing the presentations by special counsel Jack Smith for the better part of a year. But only up until the last couple of days, few weeks even, did Team Trump learn about this other grand jury. And we believe, David, as we reported here on your show last night, it was when Team Trump received that target letter in just the last couple of weeks that they were told by special counsel Jack Smith that the former president was indeed a target of that investigation. I am told by my sources that the president for the last couple of days has just been waiting for this, knowing it was coming. He joked to one aide, another one, of course, referring to his first indictment in Manhattan earlier this year. And we know that they are already planning a trip down to Miami, David. We are told from one source that they are looking at some sort of a campaign event around it, thinking that another indictment will do something better for Donald Trump's chances at a third bid at the White House.
I want to go back, John, to that one point you made. We reported here on World News Tonight just earlier this week about that letter that Donald Trump received, he and his lawyers. I think to a lot of our viewers, that would sound almost obvious after months and months of reporting on this investigation. But that was essentially their sort of official signal from the special counsel that this could very well be coming, and now it's played out tonight.
The official signal for sure, David. I mean, a target letter from a federal prosecutor lets you know that you are indeed just that. You are a target. We are looking to indict you on charges. But obviously, David, as you note, it's not a surprise. Between the many people that have gone before the grand jury, the many people that received document retention letters for subpoenas, and let's not forget, David, federal investigators have been to Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago multiple times. And obviously the big one we all saw nearly a year ago, last August, where federal agents raided Mar-a-Lago looking for documents, looking for records. And as our team has reported, they found hundreds, David.
I think this is the first day of the rest of Donald Trump's life, and it's going to get a lot worse from here. He's never faced a prosecutor like Jack Smith. He's never faced an empowered prosecutor, a special counsel. We know now tonight, as you said, reporting this news, we know a few things. One, they're doing it by the book. They're not forum shopping for what might be a potentially friendlier place. by the book, based on the case and the facts they have. They're in Florida. We know now, Chris, that Attorney General Merrick Garland has approved rather than disagreed with what was the recommendation here, the plan, target indictment that we've been reporting so much. There was a lot of talk about where does Garland fit into all this? Well, now we have the big answer. Jack Smith and his prosecutors and investigators developed this case. They presented it under the special counsel rules. There's much we don't know, but Chris, as you know, and I know you're steeped in law for reasons professional, familial, and otherwise, you know well that those regulations require Garland to oversee it. And if he disagreed, he'd have to tell Congress. So now tonight we know something we didn't know a few hours ago, which is Smith got the goods, Garland backed him up. What else do we know about why this is such a tough case for defendant Donald Trump, who was legally presumed innocent and afforded all the rights of any other defendant, but by virtue of his behavior, of his conduct, of his brazen lies, of his public attacks? Chris, I can tell you something that is actually a little counterintuitive tonight. Donald Trump is in a worse place than many other people with government experience or millions of dollars. Because of how he's acted. What I mean by that is there's a long paper trail of how he allegedly lied and instructed others to lie to the government, allegedly acted in ways that might constitute obstruction. Then, on top of that, as if that weren't enough, Dianu, we know that an independent judge approved a warrant to go in there, and rather than finding nothing or a little something, they found everything, tons of contraband. We've seen on MSNBC those pictures of the classified documents. That's all criminal evidence. It's like heroin, but worse. Okay, we know that. They found that. And he's afforded defenses about what that was or whether somehow he didn't know it was there. Sure. But those pictures are bad. That's evidence. And then, Chris, the final, I won't call it a nail in the coffin, but I'll call it the final wood building a legal coffin. We know they already pierced his lawyer's privilege under the crime fraud exception, because a judge, again, not Garland, not Smith, an independent federal judge also ruled that there was probable cause evidence that Trump was committing ongoing crimes with his lawyer, Mr. Corcoran, who we learned, again, only in the last few days, has been making his voice notes to try to protect himself because he doesn't want to end up like Michael Cohen in a jumpsuit because of what Trump did. Again, legally presumed innocent. Factually, a terrible uphill battle of a legal headache for Donald Trump against a prosecutor who is not afraid to go after heads of state.
Now at 5, new insights just coming in on the historic indictment of former President Donald Trump. The 37 counts of criminal charges are not only about his possession of sensitive documents, they're also about what the DOJ says was his utter refusal to turn them over when asked. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alan Devlin.
And I'm Savannah Louie. And Donald Trump is on his way to Georgia tomorrow. Now, this is the first time in American history a former president faces federal charges. Prosecutors say he hid the documents in various places at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, including a shower, ballroom, and his bedroom. They were ultimately collected in a federal raid on his Mar-a-Lago home. New at 5, Atlanta News First is live as Georgia Republicans gather for the state convention Trump is supposed to address tomorrow in Columbus.
Yeah, all eyes on Georgia right now, but we want to begin with Atlanta News First anchor and attorney Joy Limnacrin. So, Joy, the former president is due in a Miami courtroom Tuesday.
That's right, Alan and Savannah. The former president, as you mentioned, now facing 37 federal charges related to the mishandling of classified documents. They include obstruction of justice, false statements, conspiracy, and unlawful retention of Defense Act information, which is a violation of the Espionage Act. The indictment alleges that Trump's actions could put at risk the national security of the United States by sharing highly sensitive information about our nation's defense and weapons capabilities and our nuclear programs. Trump's aide, Waltine Noto, is also charged in this indictment for alleged false statements as well. And this is certainly by far the most significant legal battle facing Trump, but it's far from the only one. In March in New York, he was indicted on criminal charges related to hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels, along with another financial civil case there. Here in Georgia, Fulton County DA Fani Willis could soon announce whether Trump will face charges for election interference here. And in Washington, special counsel Jack Smith leads a federal probe into the 2020 election and Capitol riot. Now, as for the documents case, and because these are federal charges, if convicted, Trump could likely face prison time. Some legal observers do point out, though, that top officials historically have been pardoned, or reached plea deals to avoid prison time. But come Tuesday, a decision could be made down in Miami on bail and conditions for his release.
All right, Joy, thank you. Now,
Yo, what's new with the movies this week? What's new in music, yo?
Your girl J1 Yvette's about to tell you.
What's new in music and movies this week? New singles dropping this week. Beach Weather featuring Pale Waves, Unlovable. BB Rexa, Call on Me, David Guetta remix. Body Type, Expired Candy. Dom Dalla featuring Nelly Furtado, Eat Your Man. Ed Sheeran, A Beautiful Game. Foo Fighters, The Glass. Kelly Clarkson featuring Steve Martin, I Hate Love. Kid Cudi, Portia Topless. Rob Grant featuring Lana Del Rey, Lost at Sea. Rose Gray and Happiness. The Weeknd featuring Playboi Carti and Madonna with Popular. And 2C featuring 21 Savage, Pull Up. New albums dropping this week include Foo Fighters, But Here We Are. Alessandra, Queen of Kings, complete. Beach Fossils and Bunny. Big Time Rush, Another Life. Bob Dylan, Shadow Kingdom. Half Moon Run, Salt. Jake Shears, Last Man Dancing. John Mellencamp, Orpheus Descending. Metro Boomin, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse original motion picture soundtrack. And the Aces, I've Loved You for So Long. For the full list of new music, check out officialcharts.com and click on new releases. New at the movies this week, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Returning to the action and spectacle that have captured moviegoers around the world, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts will take audiences on a 90s globe-trotting adventure with the Autobots and introduce a whole new faction of Transformers, the Maximals, to join them as allies in the existing battle for Earth. Directed by Steve Caple Jr. and starring Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback, the film arrives in theaters June 9th, 2023. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts is rated PG-13. And if you'd rather binge watch from your sofa, no worries. Get Peacock and stream live sports, exclusive originals, hit shows, and blockbuster movies. That's right, you get sports, movies, news, TV shows, originals, kids content, and more. Choose the free platform or get more premium content with plans starting at just $4.99 a month. Peacock, you can't not watch. That's the wrap up for this week. Now let's get back to the show. You're tuned into Justified Madness with your girl J1 Yvette. It's the Soundoff Spoken Word Saturday edition of Justified Madness with your girl J1 Yvette. Now I have one sound off I want to go to. 30 minutes isn't long enough for me to spend with y'all. That's all I gotta say. Quick programming note, I'll be back on the air again tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Sunday Inspiration at blogtalkradio.com/Sunday Inspiration. Now, if you miss any episodes of Justified Madness, no worries. You can always catch up on Blog Talk Radio or look for the Justified Madness with J1 Yvette podcast just about everywhere you get your audio podcasts, including but not limited to Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Podvine. And don't forget to look for Justified Madness Extra, where I take a deeper dive into everything from politics to pop culture, and I bring that at the end of each month. Now, a major shout out going out to my official promo team, which is run by my girls, Brenda J, Tracy, and Amina. You can follow Team J1 Yvette on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Team J1 Yvette. That's team like in football team, JWANYVETTE. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at J1Yvette1. Again, it's JWANYVETTE and the number 1. And I do live tweet every single show. You can also come join my squad on Patreon for exclusives you won't get anywhere else. Go to patreon.com/justifiedmadness31. That's patreon.com/justifiedmadness31. And if you missed any of those links, no worries. Just remember this one, drum.io/JWanYvette1. That's drum.io/JWANYVETTE and the number 1. Now, before I close out, I want to send shout outs to all my fam bam, whether by blood or by love. I love you to life and I love you for real. Shout outs to my Moco Rowdies, to Desi, Boogie, Alex, Yvette, Shane, and last but never ever least, my daughter Jessie. She's the voice you hear at the top of the hour every Wednesday and Saturday night right here on Justified Madness. You're rocking with your girl Yvette, and this is the Sound Off Spoken Word Saturday edition of Justified Madness.
We've been swollen-tongued, cotton-mouthed quiet for too long, and now you ask us again to speak in hushed tones. Ask us to place our trust in the hands of badges,
white hoods,
gripping guns.
nooses.
Tell us to trust in the good of the system. Tell us that some inequality is necessary for the stability of any just nation, and expect us to believe that functional is BS. Open thin lips to speak of post-racism, then defend injustice in the same breath.
Chant.
There will never be a nigger SAE.
Defend.
What do you expect when it comes from rap music? Forget who turned the word into a slur to begin with. Ask us to get over it. Tell us to get over it. As if centuries of oppression, murder, and hate can be disregarded like a two-letter word. The audacity of a nation to close its eyes and its ears and still speak of the evil it claims no longer exists. The audacity of a nation to whisper of submission and disguise it as transcendence.
Funny story. So I'm riding with my brother, and he's taking me to a doctor's appointment, and we see a cop on the highway.
Never pass a cop on the highway.
This fool passed a cop on the highway. We get pulled over, bad tags. He didn't know they had expired. I'm laughing at him, updating my Facebook status. But all the chuckles stopped when the other cop came around, told me to unbuckle my seatbelt, step out of the car, place me in cuffs, and read me my rights. And y'all, every ounce of thug I thought I had in me hitched a ride on salty tears of confusion and fear. The level of my voice now lightened to that of a soprano. What did I do wrong? I cried like a child until it was explained to me that I had missed a traffic court date and a bench warrant had been issued. So went through the whole process. The ride to jail, getting processed in, waiting for bail, getting out. I never said sir or ma'am so much in my life. I was in prison for 5 whole hours. Longest 5 hours of my life.
I'll tell
the story to my sons. I have 3 who share my pigment, thus inheriting my struggle. I'll teach them to be men, to stand up for themselves, to not let anyone push them around, but do not be the bully. Be justice when needed. Stand up for the little guy. Unless, of course, you get arrested. Trenton, that smile of yours I've fallen so madly in love with may be taken as disrespect because I don't know what kind of officer you're going to get, so stand down. Cairo, that voice of yours that my heart swells with pride to hear as you let this world know that you are a force to be reckoned with, but it may be taken as belligerence because I don't know what kind of officer you're going to get, so stand down. Xavier, my big daddy, your stature is sure to make some young lady feel safe and will put your boys at ease, but your very existence could be taken as a threat because I don't know what kind of officer you're going to get, so stand down. You see, I'm not teaching you to not do wrong. I will have already done that. I'm teaching you how to come home. Because kids who do right can still find themselves staring down the muzzle of a gun. The lesson here is to live. Because too many black babies are dying for being innocent. and Poppy just wants you to come home.
My cousin, my blood. Local news eager to tell how he clutches the projects in one hand and projected statistics in the other like pistols shoved down his shorts, able to look at you with venom in his gaze, strike in his stride, daring you and the world to ask him, just ask him, black boy, are you sure you didn't deserve it? Are you sure your unabashed skin did not provoke the officer to spit on you? You sure you didn't blink those dark lashes wrong? Are you sure the air you draw into your lungs didn't offend the very system hell-bent on suffocating you? Tell me, girl, maybe your black be too loud, yeah? Maybe your music be too loud. Your shorts were low, that means thug. That's reasonable cause, right? You black men, right? You black woman, black child, black and existent, black and American. That's probable cause, ain't it?
Ain't it?
Here we go round the blackberry bush, the blackberry bush, the blackberry bush. Here we go round the blackberry bush at 12 o'clock in the
3 o'clock in the
6 o'clock in the
9 o'clock in the
round the clock we are
round the clock we are
round the clock we are mourning. You ask us for the time and expect us to build clocks. Tell us to swallow our stories as if they are nothing but petty pride. As if they are nightmares that dissipate when the sun resurrects. Sing songs of hanging trees on the radio, in the theater, and expect my fight or flight response to stay dormant every time you say,
don't all lives matter?
It's not a race thing.
Black people,
extend your hand in kindness. You are asking my bones to decay quietly. We do not have the right to remain silent. Dear Walter Scott, Rakia,
I don't want you to think we ever forgot
Chantel,
about you. Your
Trayvon,
names are more than trending topics,
Maurice,
hashtags, and troll baits.
Sean,
You were way too young to have legacies. But you do now.
Tamir,
and we're angry.
Aaliyah,
Angrier than we've ever been, but
Monique,
less equipped because the expression of our
Marcellus,
dissatisfaction is met with the force of
Oscar,
terrorist attacks as opposed with the exercising
Grant,
of our rights, but we won't let them forget. But we're scared.
Eric Garner,
Scared because we've never been this livid.
Mike Brown,
Scared because apparently being innocent is a crime punishable by death, but murder is rewarded with television interviews and paid vacations. I would think you would not ask any of us to die in your names.
But we will.
Because I'm afraid that's what it's going to take for them to pay attention.
Us seriously.
You were no soldiers.
You did not sign up for martyrdom.
You should not have had to die afraid.
You have not died in vain.
And we won't let them forget.
Yes, you hung us from your trees, tried to bring us to our knees, but we'll keep on fighting till we're truly free.
Thanks for rocking with your girl. I'm Jaywani Yvette, and I'll see you again tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Sunday Inspiration at blogtalkradio.com/Sunday Inspiration.